Hi everybody, I think my recording equipment is finally working again, which is really exciting. I'm sorry it took so long to get this video posted for you though. The main thing that I wanted to talk about today is the connection between how you'll organize your essay and the audience you're trying to reach and the content you're trying to share. So strategy is actually a very important thing to consider when making an argument. One of my college professors, he specialized in the sociology and psychology of the courtroom. One of the things that he was paid quite a lot to do was to help with what's called scientific jury selection. And that's the process whereby, well, either the defense or the prosecution decides who would be a juror most favorable, or who would be a juror most likely to listen favorably to their arguments. But the other thing that he really taught us a lot about was the science behind arguing in general. So he asked us, all things being equal, would you rather present your argument first or your argument last, assuming that there are two people who are going to present an argument? And most of us said, oh, last, best for last, people will remember what's coming last. And he said, that's what our gut tells us, but actually what the science tells us is that you always want to present your argument first. People report the first argument they hear as seeming more credible to them, more convincing. And so what I tell my students is, if you think that you're writing to an audience who's either going to be a little sympathetic to your point or won't have much of an opinion, or maybe a divided opinion is ambivalent, write your introduction, introduce your thesis, and give your strongest reasons and evidence first. Then tackle objections and do your counter arguments. Now this whole equation changes though if you are writing to an audience who is hostile to your point of view. Now this is somewhat of an academic exercise for this paper because your audience for the paper is somewhat imagined. I mean, yes, I'm an audience for your paper. Yes, your peers are. Now, if you're writing about a ballot measure, you can assume your audience is Californians, and then you can look and see how the ballot measure is polling to see if people are going to be more likely for your position, against your position, or split on your position. But if you're writing to people who are hostile to your position, you want to organize your paper very differently. The first thing you want to do is present the issue. Try to do it in as unbiased a way as you can. And then you want to start addressing what would be objections to your argument. So if I was arguing for Proposition 63, which are very tight gun control laws, to, let's say, members of the NRA, before I got into saying I support Proposition 63, I would want to acknowledge their concerns. I'd want to go very carefully through all of the objections that I could think of to Prop 63, acknowledging where there are reasonable concerns, but also problematizing them a little bit, showing perhaps alternative points of view. The next thing that I would suggest that you think about is the content of your paper. Because if the content of your paper is reasons and then objections that are not really related to those reasons. So for instance, in my paper, I'm writing about parental leave. My reasons are the benefits that the policy would have for families and society. The major objections have to do with cost. So blocking organization might work better. Take on the reasons first and then the objections. In some cases, the reasons and objections are almost the same except for the word not. So for example, legalizing marijuana will make us safer. No, it will not. In that case, you want to use a point-by-point organizational strategy. Legalizing marijuana will protect our children. No, it will not. And then you want to look at the point-by-point outline. Okay, so that's kind of what I wanted to cover in this week's video. I'll be seeing you next week, provided my computer cooperates, and I hope you're all having a great week. Bye.